Welcome to Smacky's Garage. Today we're going to be talking about the Autel DS808. So I purchased one of these for my house to have, because I work on a multitude of different cars. I want to talk about, as I've been using this for the past few weeks, who is it best for and who should really spend this kind of money on a scanner. So this here is an Autel DS808. Now the reason why I purchased this is because I kept getting sick of going to the Audi dealer to deal with my wife's Audi. We own a 2015 Audi A4. You know, it's a great car, but it's had a lot of service issues over the past few years, and it's cost me quite a bit of money. One of the things on the car that's kind of unique to it is not only do you have an oil filter reminder, an oil change reminder, but there's also a service reminder that comes on every 10 or 12,000 miles. And that service reminder can't be reset by a typical scan tool. You either need to bring it to Audi and pay for it, or you need to buy some sort of tool to do it yourself. This is an expensive tool to do it yourself, but there's a lot more reasons why I purchased this. You know, a tool like this is designed for a small shop or a do-it-yourself hobbyist that has some cars that need some of the features that this provides. Now, some of the features that this provides that you don't typically see on scan tools is you can do your oil resets, you can do your electronic parking brake, you can set and change the battery management system, and you can reset the steering angle sensor. Now, I justified it for myself because since we keep working with my wife's Audi, I actually don't do it on the channel. I do it off the channel when I have time. And in order to do the brakes, I need to set the electronic parking brake, and this has a feature to set the electronic parking brake into maintenance mode so I can make the changes that I need. Now, if you're looking at doing the work at Audi, you're probably looking at spending $1,000 to $1,500 for the brakes to be redone, front and rear, or I could do them myself by buying parts from FCP Euro or a site like that for under $750 for front and rear, probably under $500. So in order to do that and be able to enable myself to do that, I need to buy this. Now, there are cheaper options that you could buy to do this on Volkswagen's Audis, but one of the reasons why I bought this is not just the ability to do it on the Audi, but the ability to do it on a lot of other cars. Now, where I think this really works well for hobbyists and do-it-yourselfers is if you have a lot of different vehicles. You know, I have Fords, I have an Audi, now we have a Chevy. So with all these different vehicles, being able to get into the maintenance menus and fix things is important, especially if I'm trying to do a lot of the work myself. Now, if I were to look at purchasing a system to do it on each one of the vehicles, if I'm looking at the Fords, I can get 4Scan, which I do have. Volkswagen has the VAG comm system, which you could purchase. There's a bunch of other ones that you could use. Chevy has their own that I can use on this car, or I can just get one of these and kind of do the do-it-yourself work. So for me, you know, I really liked using this so far. It has a lot of good features that I haven't used, but some that I'm going to be using in the future. Now, one of the other features that I like on this that the other ones don't have is, or a lot of the other ones don't have, is bi-directional capability of operating actuators and valves. This way I can do some quick checks to see what's working and what isn't working. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to be able to use on this. Now, I plan on kind of sharing my thoughts on this now that I purchased this after a few months, but I'm also going to do a multi-year review. Probably next year, I'll talk through everything that I've learned and experienced with it and what I've been using it for most on any of the vehicles. Now, all I've used within the service menu so far is the oil reset, the electronic parking brake settings, and putting it in maintenance mode. But there's a lot of other features that you could use in this depending on what car you have. They provide updates which are free for a year, but then there's some subscription cost, which I do not plan on upgrading to unless I really need it. But I'm not planning on downloading newer vehicles later, especially since most of my vehicles are older. Let's go ahead and let's take it out to the truck, plug it in, and take a look at kind of some of the features that are on it, just to give you kind of a good overview. Okay, so plugged in the truck, I can go in here and I can actually do service. If I want to run the electric parking brake, I can run the electric parking brake. I'm on a Ford. Tap read to acquire VIN. Let's read it. 150. That is my truck. Now that we're here, we're going to go to hot functions. So you can see here, you can replace brake pads and operating guides. It'll walk you through. You have apply and release test for kind of doing an assembly test for park, and it'll actually walk you through the steps. So it'll do the electronic integrated parking brake apply and release. So let's go ahead and vehicle must be in park. Make sure you're not pressing the brake pedal. I want to continue, yes. So I could hear the parking brake actually going. Functions complete. So if I wanted to do this, I could just say, I'm going to replace the brake pads. While I go through that, it'll tell you to press release the parking brake. So it's released. I hit OK. Then it puts the parking brake in maintenance mode. So it'll tell you what to do. So here's an example that I'm going to have to do later when I replace the battery. So this is to reset the battery monitoring system. So after you replace the battery in the vehicle, you have to reset this. So I think there might be a manual way to do it, but you can also do it through this system here on the Autel. So it really helps you on a lot of these newer vehicles where everything's more computer controlled. And I can see here I can run through pretty much all the different modules in this car to see if there's any faults at all. So you're not only just reading the main computer and getting the OBD codes, but you can actually look at each separate module to see how everything's functioning. And with this, you can actually go and you can see what's the distance from their inner parking aid sensor, the voltage coming to the module. You can actually look at some of the live data that's in this, especially if there's an issue, you can typically pick it up for what is wrong from this module. All right, so that's it with the scanner. You know, those are some of the features that I'm going to be using on my cars here. I think I have some work to do on my truck and especially some work to do on my wife's Audi. So I'm going to go ahead and get those done. Back to the question of who's this really for? You know, it's a really nice to have gadget for the home hobbyist. I'm going to probably find a lot of use out of it and I'll probably be tinkering with it all year long. So I'm going to post another video a year after I'm done using it and I'll go through some of the features, some of the things that I learned about it. But it is a really nice tool to have. Is it 100% necessary for your garage, your do-it-yourselfer? No, especially if you're just working within one brand of car. And a lot of people do work within one brand of car. I needed it for my wife's Audi and it's just because I was able to get it for that, I can also use it for my trucks and this here. So a lot of different ways that I can use it. And that's where I see a lot of the value in it. And probably where shops see a lot of the value in it. It's you can use it across multiple brands of cars all through one tool. So I'd say if you have multiple brands of cars and you're trying to work on all of them and you're really a do-it-yourselfer, it's probably a lot more cost effective to do it that way than to look at kind of all the different tools that they have available. So thanks for tuning into Smacky's Garage this week. Glad I was able to do this tool review and get some good use out of it and share it with you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you next week.